I'm going to come back here and I'm going to hit the record button. We are now streaming live, apparently. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining me here on Living Astrology with Janet Hickox. Grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back, and let's chat about what is happening up in the stars above. But as you can see this morning, we have Pia and Cullen back with us today to talk to us about the Pleiadian-Earth calendar, astrology. I believe we're going to get a message, maybe about the times, maybe about what's happening. And then I think it will be a really good time and opportunity for us to talk about the conscious spiral of evolution, as today we've come to 13 intuiting, the end of our 13-day week that began, I think it was October 4th at 1 planting. So what did you seed 13 days ago, and how has that played out in your spiral of consciousness? And what can you intuit today about what direction comes next? I'm going to throw this over to you, Pia. Welcome, both of you, Pia and Cullen. It's so great to see you. And no audience, we did not plan what we were going to wear. We're just so in sync. This is the second time we've done this. And I just love it that we all show up in pink today. How perfect, right?
Lots of love present.
Exactly. It's a great color to wear. You both look great in it. And so, Pia, what kind of message do you want to give us this morning, or LAARKMAA, if there's a message coming through there? What would you like to share with us?
We'll start with the astrology information, and then we'll pass on to some things that LAARKMAA's been sharing with us and sharing
Okay.
with the group. But first of all, Janet, we both want to thank you for giving us this opportunity to be on your show again. We love it. And I'd like to say that this is a really auspicious day for beginning this because, as you just mentioned, this is a 13 universal energy, and we are changing the energies at sunset, moving into a 1 universal energy as we start a new period. So the 13 is the period of integration, and it aligns perfectly with the new moon energies that are here. New moon is the time of quiet, retreat, repose, all of those things. And 13 energy is all about that retreat, integrate. It's a time to reflect on everything you've completed in the cycle that you're in. And we've just completed a 13-day cycle. I don't know how many of your listeners are familiar with the Pleiadian-Earth energy. Should I give a little more background, or do you think they have it from our last show?
I think a lot of people understand what it is.
Okay.
But if you want to go into a quick little explanation, that would work, because there are some new people that have just joined us over the last couple of weeks. And I see a couple of new people out there today. They may be people that you know, but please feel free, explain a little bit about it, and then tell us what else you want to tell us
Well,
today.
there's basically 5 energies that we look at in the Pleiadian-Earth energy astrology. 3 of them are changing frequently, and the other 2 change much more slowly. The first one is the universal energy, and that is the energy of the cosmos. It's the cosmic energy that counts from 1 to 13, with 1 being initiating and 13 being completion and integration. And in between are the varying steps that we all go through between starting something and ending something. So that's a very important energy to look at every day to see what the energy is calling you to do. For instance, the universal energy of 4 is an energy of foundation, so it's a day of sort of stability and being strong. The energy of 1 is a day of initiation, which is like starting new projects, doing new things. And 13, of course, as we were just mentioning, is a day to rest, relax, integrate, and review. So the universal energies are very, very important in determining how to utilize the energy of the day. The earth energies are the energies that we came here to earth to explore, and each of us ourselves has one. We have 20 different earth energies with a lower vibration and a higher vibration. And the calendar, the Pleiadian-Earth energy calendar that we are encouraging people to live by rather than using time, uses the earth energies to look at what is this particular energy showing. So today, the earth energy is intuiting. And the intuiting energy is also about feeling in with your heart to see about what it is you need to know. Cullen's a great one to talk about intuition. He's one of the most intuitive people I know.
You can see it, it's all over his face.
Intuition is growing by leaps and bounds. Many people are finding that their intuitive abilities are increasing exponentially these days. It's really funny. Many people have said for some long time that intuition only belongs to women, that's a feminine quality. And I'm here to tell everyone that all of us are intuitive, and the more balanced we become between our feminine and our masculine selves in our complete selves allows us to utilize that intuition. And I could talk about this for a very long time because it's really important to me. And I know a lot of people are finding that they're getting messages. They're getting what Pia and I call nudges constantly about, maybe I should follow this up. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I'm going down the wrong track. So intuition is super important today, and it's growing. So intuition is a really great gift that all of us can participate with.
So on a day that carries intuiting energy, it's a good day to practice. What are you picking up on and paying attention to it? And it just so happens that the 13 universal energy also promotes intuition. It is a time where you may have clairvoyant experiences, psychic dreams, all kinds of things with a heightened intuition. So on a day of intuition, as an earth energy with a universal energy of 13, it's likely to be a very psychic energy for anybody who's tuned in and paying attention. Now, the third category of energies that we look at is also the earth energy, but it is the earth energy that comes in on a one universal energy. It comes in at the beginning of a 13-day cycle, a 13-day period. So you've already mentioned to your listeners that we're ending our cycle of planting that began 13 days ago. Today is the last day of that, giving us the opportunity to look at what seeds did we plant. Did we use kind words? Did we make high choices? You know, what did we plant in the last 13 days? We're integrating all of our choices and all of our learnings today in this 13 energy. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow, we move into a new 13-day period, which has a double punch. It has the evolving energy, which is pretty punchy anyway. And then it has the overlighting energy of evolving for the entire 13-day period, because whatever comes in on a one universal energy stays with us in the earth energy for the whole 13-day period.
So there's an actual point in each 13 days that begins on the first of that 13-day cycle that will be the hallmark of the whole period, the whole 13 days, so that it will influence from that very beginning that essence or that ability for us to be in that energy for those 13 days.
So I like to compare evolving energy for your listeners with the energy of Uranus. It is unpredictable. It is full of change. It's looking at everything from a larger perspective. It's looking at everything in a way to say, what else do we want to do? What are we bringing in? Evolving energy asks us to flow with constantly changing circumstances and to do it with trust. It's asking us to explore uncharted territory and to do that with an inner knowing and confidence that we can make a difference. Each of the earth energies has a level of conscious awareness. And I like to tell people that there's no hierarchy in whether any energy is individual, community, global, or universal in level of awareness, because we need all of them and we rotate through all of them. But we're going to be at the universal level for the next 13 days of evolving energy. And that means we have an opportunity to broaden our perspective and to see everything from a universal perspective. How are all of my choices affecting everything and everyone? So that's what's coming.
That's huge.
Yeah, it is huge. It is really, really huge. We have to, during this period, there are things that we can be aware of. We have to beware being any kind of disorganization or any type of thoughtlessness or rationalizing against poor choices. That's the lower end of evolving energy for 13 days. The higher end of the evolving energy is being a pioneer, exploring all possibilities, and being absolutely self-confident and determined that we can make the impossible possible. That's what we're given during this time to do. And goodness knows we certainly need that right now all over the world.
We all need to turn into magicians.
Yes.
We do, we
Yes.
do. And
Yes.
Or
maybe
alchemists. That's a better one, because
Yes,
magicians are
absolutely,
sleight of hand.
absolutely.
But
Yeah, yeah. And there's another component in this: trust.
yes.
During this period, trusting that we will make it through whatever is going on. We will participate with each other through unity consciousness. Trust is a great, great part of this understanding, because we have to trust that the universe, as some really wise people have said for many, many years, the universe is always unfolding exactly as it should be. And we have to trust that we're in that process universally, so that we can be part of those choices. We can choose the higher vibratory things, or we can choose the lower vibratory things. And we all know that the higher the vibration, the better it is for everybody.
right, for the whole world. And I think the most important thing that you said there is that we have a choice. Right? So many times we just feel like we're just sort of the victim of circumstances, or that, we have zero control over what's going on, but we always have a choice, and it is in how we respond to what is showing up out there.
Exactly.
And that is really important right now, because there are so many governmental controls across the planet at the moment that it can feel very much like victims mentality of, oh, I can't do this and I can't do that.
Yeah.
And we have to step up and take back our power and go, but I can do this and I can do this. Cullen and I have learned that in places where masks are required, if you put it under your nose, nobody ever stops you. They don't care. They're not really concerned that you breathe in and breathe out through your nose and your mouth. And if masks actually did any good at all, it would be effective, to have it over here, but they don't make any difference. And that's one of the ways you can take back your power in these times of lockdown. Whatever you believe is the right thing to do, listen to your heart and alter your actions to the circumstances for the highest good of all, so that nobody gets hurt and everybody is beginning to follow your example, because that's the only way we can ever make a difference. Change ourselves, and then others may look and cock their heads and go, well, I bet I could do that too. So it's an important thing to do.
And I think following your intuition, as you started with that information this morning, is so important in all of this, because there are times like I was just at a wedding 2 weekends ago, and the next day, we get a phone call saying that the bride's sister's boyfriend had COVID, and that we had all been exposed perhaps, and they wanted us all to go get tested. And I'm like tapping in just to see, okay, is that going to be an issue? And I just kept hearing, no, you don't need the test. No, you don't need the test. And it turned out that the bride's sister, the one who would have been the most exposed, was negative. So I was like, oh, okay. So in this case, I did not need to follow the protocol, which is everybody go get tested. And we can do the same in a masking situation, where if you think you're going into a grocery store where there's going to be lots of kids and lots of people, maybe it's better to wear the mask in the way that it's meant to. But you can always tap into your intuition and say, okay, I sense something's going on here. I'm going to do what I need to do.
And that's exactly what Cullen and I are doing, empowering ourselves by going along with the protocol at the appropriate times.
Correct.
And then changing it just a little bit individually when it seems like it's a ridiculous situation.
And it's interesting. It's interesting to watch this in public, because if Pia and I are unmasked or partially masked, we notice that people look at us and they pull their masks down, and they think, oh, well, if someone can do this, why can't I do this? So it is happening that people are learning by example. And we think teaching by example is the very best way to share knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. So with one now evolving energy coming up, as that's the overlighting energy. Any thoughts or ideas about what it is that might be shaking up in the planet during the next 13 days, or is that kind of up to us as well?
Well, I think it is, but I think I'd like to talk about the other two elements that are influencing this also to give a
Okay,
complete overview.
perfect.
First of all, this energy with this particular system does not follow the Gregorian calendar. This
Right.
follows nature. So that energy changes at sunset wherever you are. That's important to know because you'll be starting into this one evolving energy at sunset today. And that is, you'll feel it. As you start working with it, you'll begin to sense it. The other two energies that are part of the Pleiadian-Earth energy system is the Venus star. And that is not the regular natal Venus influence. That is Venus as she moves in her star pattern in the sky every 260 days. Venus right now is in the morning star phase, and she is in Gemini, which means a lot of communication can take place. It's a time for being able to sit back and talk about what do we need to do to make a difference. And as a morning star, taking the initiation to do it. This morning star Gemini phase that is governing us all, because Venus is Earth's twin, will be governing us until spring of next year. So we have a great influence in this system to be able to take the initiative and talk about what needs to be done. The fifth part of this system is the phase of Venus, the phase that Venus is in during any particular time. And right now, Venus is in the longest phase that she experiences astronomically. She is in the position of retreating from the sun, moving back away from the light. That can feel to us who are sensitive and experiencing this, that we are disconnecting from important people, that we're not being able to connect with things we want to do. It can feel very, very disempowering. The phase is called surrendering and discovery, and the surrendering and discovery phase can literally take away everything you deem to be important. But the gift in this is that when it's taking this and that and the other away, the internal shift is, oh, that's not so important. What's so important is right here next to me, or the friend that I'm talking to, or the sunset I'm watching. We begin to have a shift in this phase of Venus. So I think that's important background for moving into evolving energy, because evolving energy can be so tumultuous and chaotic. I know in America, there's an election coming up, and I know there's a lot of chaos around that. You ask what things we can look for to be happening. What we're getting from LAARKMAA and other groups that we talk to is that we really need to step up our action plan about speaking out about what we will accept and what we will not accept. We just had a conversation with them last night, and they said, actually, I think they're here. I think they want to talk. So we'll just let them talk to your listeners. How about that?
That's perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Give us a minute. Hello, dear ones. We are LAARKMAA. We are here to contribute to this conversation on astrological influences, symbols, and the coming turbulent times. We would like to point out that you are looking into your stars, into your sky, into your planets to find out what type of influences are impacting you as you move forward in your evolution. And you are moving at sunset today into the energy of evolving, which will help you on your evolutionary path. You have asked what to look for and what to focus on. And we would like to point out that when you look at your sky right now, you're going to be noticing an increasing number of satellites because the powers of 5G are continually being ejected into your space. We would suggest that that is one of the most earth-shaking, disturbing, and unsettling things that could occur, especially in this period right now, because 5G is detrimental to all life. So we would like to have you become more aware of what you can do when you're looking at the night sky. Take back into your own awareness, your own sensitivity, particularly on this day of intuiting energy. How is it that I can make a difference so that I can help my species evolve into a higher place rather than being programmed by the artificial intelligence that is being put in place with 5G? This is really, really important for humanity to understand. So this is one thing that we would encourage you to do. What can you look for in this time? You can look for more and more governmental controls over artificial scenarios. You can look for turbulence and upheaval within political elections and exchange agreements between countries. You can look for unexpected gifts and wonderful things of clairvoyance and intuitive abilities coming into the forefront of your awareness. And you can look for people to be very confused and conflicted about what's going on. They want to know, are they supposed to follow the rules of COVID? Are they supposed to stand up and say no? Are they supposed to get the newest phone so they can communicate with their friends? Or are they supposed to write to their congressman and say, no, I'm against 5G. I joined the scientists and the doctors who know it kills life. People are confused. So what each of you can do in this evolutionary period of evolving for the next 13 days is to ask yourself, by listening at your own intuition, what can I begin and follow through for this entire 13-day period to deal with changes by bringing forth progress, bringing forth things that need to be said or heard, and letting go of things that cause limitations and restrictions and beliefs that cause fear and things that no longer serve. That's what you can look for. It is a turbulent time, and you may be quite surprised with things that come about in your news media. There's likely to be more martial law coming into your news in different places around the planet, including America. So pay attention to the stirrings of these things, trust in your own hearts, and know that as you are paying attention to the energies each day, you can follow your heart and know how to be safe, how to be connected, how to be involved with the energies, and how to determine your own destiny rather than having it determined for you. It's a time of great change and great opportunity. Thank you for allowing us to participate with this. We leave you at this moment to continue your conversation. We love you. Good always.
Wow, thank you. That was an amazing message. Couple of questions in the chat, and I don't know if you guys are seeing the chat. I don't know that you can. I know I am seeing it. First, Cornelia Stephanie says hello to you all, and I know you're going to be talking to her at some point here in the near future. So are you ready to answer some questions that people have?
Sure.
Okay. So, and Asa, you may have to send me some of those questions because the stream is rolling by me so fast. Right now, I see a question from Ursula that says, how do we carry the Pleiadian energy of the day of our birth? For example, she was born on a 13-day, and then does every 13-day energy get underscored throughout their lives?
13-day energy does get underscored throughout the life, and the way you carry it is by, on a regular basis, trying to integrate everything that's going on within you and outside of you. People who carry 13 energy have a great gift for being able to integrate everything. So they should be able to stop, take a breath before they make a decision, before they take an action, before they respond to anything, because they're listening really, really well. People with 13 have a great ability to listen and really hear. So you can listen really well to what another person is saying, what a situation is asking, take a breath in, integrate it, and then respond. And that sets the tone for others to understand how to slow down their pace as well. And yes, your emphasis is underscored on days that carry 13. You'll feel more in harmony on those days because those days will feel more familiar to you.
Like putting on your favorite jacket. Ah, I recognize this energy.
Cullen and I are very familiar with it because our combined relationship energy is a universal 13, an integration period of everything. I'm a 1, which is the initiation. He is the 12, which is understanding the big picture, and putting those two things together causes that integrating energy, that 13 energy, to be present all the time in our relationship. I hope that-
Interesting. I remember there's a chapter in your book, the Pleiadian-Earth Energy Astrology, about how people's energies come together in relationships. So that's
Yes.
a good place for you to go if you all have more questions about how you and a partner's energies are. Look up the partner, bring them together. It's in the book.
Well, that's what's so wonderful about this system that the Pleiadians helped us arrange so that we could design the calendar and write the book, because it's about relationship in all ways. It's not just about the day energy or the energy of anything that has to do with a relationship. It's about all relationships, and it's a tool to help us have a more thorough understanding of how to navigate all of the relationships in a much more thorough and a higher vibratory understanding.
Just one cautionary note, when you're looking up your partner and yourself, make sure that you look at the time of birth, because if they were born after sunset, you'll need to go to the next day.
Oh, good point. Yes. Yes. When I did that, my husband and I were both born in the early morning after sunrise. So I was born at sunrise. He was born just before sunrise. But it's still, should that matter if it's before sunrise or just looking
No.
at sunset? Just looking at the sunset.
Sunset's the change of energies, just like midnight in the Gregorian system is
Perfect.
the artificial sense of changing days. This is
Nice.
the natural.
So I just want to share with you a couple of comments and then another question. Pauline, wow, felt my heart open when Pia started channeling LAARKMAA. Marjorie Roth, such love, thank you. Mimi says, wonderful message and wonderful loving energy. Mary Stevens, heartening message, thank you. J-Lo, oh, she was asking a question of someone else. And Ursula says, OMG, oh my gosh, thank you. And one of the other questions it looks like that people are asking is about, I think people are feeling a little, here in the USA, are feeling a little stretched about all of the different things that have happened and the shocks and the rhetoric and everything. And when LAARKMAA mentioned martial law, I think that triggered something in people, and they want to know if you have any other information about what that might mean, or was that more of a general comment that maybe throughout the world, not just here in the US?
Absolutely, throughout the world, not just in the US. And before Cullen wants to answer that, I want to just make one clarification for the listeners who do not know that. I do not channel LAARKMAA. I am the voice piece of LAARKMAA, but LAARKMAA has to come through both of us. We have to be physically touching, and they use the library of Cullen's brain as much as they do mine to pull the words they want to use. I just happen to be the voice piece.
At this time.
At this time. So I just wanted to clarify that for your listeners so they would know it takes both of us to bring this in, because we have opposite energy. And with both of us being present, we cancel out any filterization. It's one of LAARKMAA's requirements.
I love it. Thank you for that. Okay, so Cullen, you wanted to answer that question?
Well, what we're seeing, we're in contact with people through our work around the world on an everyday basis. And what we're seeing in certain countries, Australia specifically, and the UK, martial law has already begun. There are rights being taken away. There are constitutional rights that have been removed in both Australia and the UK. And the police and the military are working in tandem to do basically whatever the government says the government wants to do about what the population can or cannot do. So we're already seeing this actually in a number of countries. And it's not just Australia and the UK, it's happening in a number of countries worldwide.
Just keep your eyes open and look wherever you are. I assume most of your listeners are in America, but look around you and pay attention and notice if you see mounting forces around anywhere, you begin to see more military outfits, then something's up. And just, if that happens, just stay in your power, stay in your heart, and trust that you'll move through it, because it's just a temporary glitch. It's a temporary attempt to control us.
Yeah, it feels like it's the last dying grasp
Yes,
of an old
absolutely.
age. Yeah,
Yes.
like they are trying to exert more control and power because there's this runaway freight train called evolution that's coming through. And you know, we often respond harshly to the things that we don't understand or that we don't want to accept. So I get that. I just wish it would hurry up. Hurry up. No, I guess maybe we don't want it to hurry. We want it to take all the time it needs. Are you up for another question?
Sure.
Okay, so let's see here. Tom Wright asked a question, and with all the tyranny and craziness around, is this part of the birthing process? And if it is it all an illusion? We've survived stuff like this before, meaning I'm thinking he's thinking of the Spanish flu, 1918, or big challenges between, say, the Dark Ages and the Renaissance time. What do you think about that?
Well, I would say yes to the question. The way the question is asked, it is an illusion, of course, but we are here in the third dimension and things do physically happen to us. And there are so many theories about all of the electromagnetic inventions that have happened since the electric light was invented, which coincides with the Spanish flu. The Asian flu that happened in, I think, 1958 to 1960 was also coinciding with another electromagnetic advancement in waves that were being put out into our world, into our atmosphere. So there have been many, many new inventions in the past 100 years, especially in the past 50 years since the end of World War II, that have absolutely coincided with new viruses coming to humanity. So yes, there are connections to these particular, they're not coincidences, they're actual scientific understandings. That's part of the answer. The other part is, yes, we've been through things like this before, and it is an evolutionary process, and we will once again get through it again.
And we've been asked, the universe is asking us, wake up, pay attention to the reality that you feel from your heart rather than what you are told in your mind. What they tell you in your head is not nearly as reliable as what your heart tells you is true. That's how you navigate through these things and know that we're going to get through it. But we are being asked to awaken and to get the evolution going.
And I think that the last thing that we could say about this particular question is, instead of seeing things as challenges or roadblocks or tragedies, we can also simultaneously see them as opportunities. Mm-hmm. One of the things that's happened during the lockdown or the destabilization of society in the past 6 months is that people have gotten closer together.
Yes, exactly.
People have actually communicated in ways that either we haven't communicated with each other in a long, long time, or we're opening up new avenues to actually speak to one another in a much deeper way, a much more satisfying way. So we see that aspect as an opportunity rather than a challenge. And I think if we can continue to see opportunities, every time a challenge comes our way, we can say, well, there's another part of this. Let's look at it from a different point of view. Maybe this is about evolution. Maybe this is about changing from an older paradigm to a newer paradigm, something that serves us much more deeply and thoroughly than what we have been doing. So we really like the idea of opportunities.
Yeah, from government power to people power. Personally, that's
Yes.
kind of how I see where this is happening. As we're moving away from our dependence on outside constructs or institutions and more on what we can create for ourselves. And that's kind of, even that concept of the dawning of the age of Aquarius, where it's more connection and networking through people. It's the human aspect and not the institutions that we want to give our power to. I want to say Pauline has a question. A couple of people have a question about, and I'm going to let you answer this because I know you guys know how the best answer. How can they find out what their Pleiadian Earth astrology sign is?
Well, it's listed in the book, Pleaidian-Earth Energy Astrology, but I also do personalized charts for individuals, which you can find on either website, PiaOrleane.com or on LAARKMAA.com. You can find a place to find personalized charts. But I spend about 4 hours on each person's chart, and I write down all the aspects that influence them, and I take specific questions that the person would like to have answered from an astrological point of view, and I weave in relationships if they give me 5 relationships that are important, so that they can see how everything is placed in their lives and move forward.
Awesome. So that's a great question. Mary Stevens, hello to you. The problem is lots of people say things and it goes right past me. Ursula says, I've read that humanity has been seeded by Pleiadian ancestors amongst other star systems. How do you know if you have primarily a Pleiadian star heritage versus Arcturian, Orion, Sirius heritage? That's a great question.
I think it's who you resonate with. The Syrians are very intellectual. The Pleiadians are all about love. There's, just love energy everywhere. The Arcturians are similar to the Pleiadians, but a little more forceful, I'd say. I think it's who you align with. When people do personal synchronizations with LAARKMAA, they often ask that question.
Where am I from?
Where am I from? And LAARKMAA's response is, what does it matter? We're all the same. It doesn't matter which particular star seed you came from. The Arcturians, the Pleiadians, the Syrians, we're all working together to help you, the humans, raise your consciousness to the next level. So instead of thinking and asking, where am I from? A better question is, where am I going?
Ooh, I like that question. Where am I going? I had just a thought that occurred to me while we were talking about the different periods of time in history where things like have happened, big changes and transformations. And I want to say that there's a substantial difference between what's written in the history books about what was occurring at a time and place in history versus the actual experience of the people in it. Because I say, when I look back at, reading about the Spanish flu of 1918, it's devoid of life, really. It's so different and significantly so from living in the midst of it. So I think sometimes we feel like it's a little more challenging and it's different somehow because we're in the middle of it as people instead of just being able to read. So we don't have the ability to ask those people from 1918-ish, how did you feel about government lockdowns or lack of government lockdowns or, those kinds of questions. It's not like we're comparing apples to apples either. It's sort of apples to oranges.
Absolutely. I can tell you from my own personal experience, my formal educational training is in anthropology and archaeology. And when I was a student a long time ago, most of the information that I was given is absolutely not true today. Those facts and those ideas that we were told, this is what happened. This is absolutely the truth. This is a fact. Well, in the 50 years since I have moved away from that original educational experience, almost nothing I was taught is now believed to be what the actual truth is today. So what you brought up is really significantly important. Mm-hmm. The truth is the truth. It never changes, but facts change all the time. So we cannot rely on who wrote something in any epoch or any period, because it was influenced by the society at that time, and they may have been fed absolutely the wrong information.
I think it's also important to notice that we can't rely on anything that is fed to us necessarily in this time. Also, in the epoch of the Spanish flu, you could, walking down the street, you saw physically for yourself what was going on. we are so isolated globally right now with this particular pandemic going on that we don't have any real idea of the enormity of it, because there's all these altercations about what is fact and what is fiction. So your point, Janet, about being in the middle of it, even now in the middle of it, we're so isolated that we still don't have the full picture.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's important then to understand that no one has the full picture. So as much as you think that you're right about your theory about what's happening or not happening, you may or may not be right, because, or maybe you are right. Maybe we are all right. Or we're all wrong and we're all delusional.
Well, that's a very interesting thought process too, because the Mandela effect has shown that two people or many people can experience the same episode of an experience completely differently. And it doesn't mean one of us is wrong, as you just said, or one of us is right. There can be multiple outcomes from the same occurrence.
Like all points of view can be right.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Because they're from your point of view. Right? I mean, it's pretty funny because I get into these tug of wars with people all the time. They want to send me their conspiracy theories, and then you know, there's the regular news stories, and it's real easy to get caught up in that feeling, that anxiety of, well, what is right? Who is right? And I don't think anybody has any way of really knowing what's really going on, because I dare say my experience sitting here on this little island in Washington is completely different from someone in New York City who might have been witnessing ambulances and people being pulled out of hospitals or their homes if very ill, and body bags piling up, etc. And to me, it seems it's so far removed from my point of view here. So it's important for us to remember that people are living in this moment.
Yes.
That's why it's so important to listen to your heart and do the highest good for all in every situation.
Yeah,
If you feel
exactly.
like what you're being asked to do is ridiculous, and you're being told to wear a mask in a park outdoors, and you know there's nobody around you, you don't need to do that. You but if you're in a situation where you know, obviously need to care for other people, you have to pay attention and do what's best for everybody.
Just need to love one another.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it.
It just doesn't matter what people think or say is right or wrong. Just love one another.
That's the bottom line.
Are you guys willing to answer a couple of other questions, or do you want me to read a few more comments? Okay. So interesting. Christine Buckingham. My grandpa told me about his sister who passed away from the Spanish flu pandemic. The areas that followed medical advice and masked and isolated had far larger survival rates. That's kind of an observation that we're seeing here in the USA in certain places, but in other places that doesn't seem to be the case. So kind of interesting. Pauline says she's a cosmic mutt, as I have 10 hybrid children that have missions at one time. At one time, I thought I was a victim with no say, but maybe I agreed to this. Thank you. No matter, just know I am a starseed in the universe. I love it. I love it. I love it. Tom says, I am you and you are we. All life matters, Tom. I love that, Tom.
That is one of the largest tenets, or one of the largest messages that LAARKMAA brings to humanity. They use the Mayan term in Lakesh, which means I am another yourself. So what that caller just said is absolutely important, because that's the basis of unity consciousness. That is the basis of what you said a minute ago, Janet, about let's just be love and not worry about all the other parts, and not be part of the friction or the problems that truly aren't that important.
So Tom, thank you for bringing that very important point to the forefront.
Yes. Marjorie Roth asks, is Earth's final goal 5D, or is it higher for her as a planet?
Oh, there's no doubt about that. LAARKMAA is very, very strong in saying, stop thinking linearly. You're not going from 3D to 5D. It's not happening, folks. You're going from 3D to multidimensionality, which is much higher. So we're not moving in a linear fashion, and fifth is the next step. It just won't work that way. We're going to explode into multiple dimensions as we take this next evolutionary leap.
I love it. And that's something that I've often played with in my mind too, that, the eyes that we have are limiting us to only what we can see here. But
Mhm.
my sense has always been that there's something bigger, something that I'm not seeing with my eyes, but that I can
Mhm.
sort of sense with my aura perhaps, or just my energy field, that there's, you know, like something right here with me that
Yeah.
I can tap into. And I often am in that, I think, in my dream state at night, where I come back thinking, wow, that, uh, reorienting myself to this reality, to this, to this earthly plane, from what I'm sure was lifetimes I'm experiencing concurrently somewhere.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Y-
absolutely.
Yeah, the scope of how big we really are is tremendous. We are so much bigger, we are so much larger than our third dimensional experience here on Earth as humans. It's a quantum change to understand that we are involved in other dimensions as other energies all the time. So
And it's
that
very limiting to say, oh, I'm going to the fifth dimension next, because that's just another limitation. Open up to the possibilities because it's all there.
Another construct that we don't need.
yes,
Yeah. But it's nice to know that, I think ultimately, that all of this is about evolving
Mhm.
and coming back home to our own selves. I mean, I don't think it's an outward process. I really think it's something that's happening inward, that's being mirrored to us in that outer world. And if we can remember that, I just wanted to tell you too that Tom said that that comment that he made, about, you and me all life, I am you, you are we, was a part of a song he wrote 5 years ago. So I'm
Oh, that's
definitely going to
wonderful.
have him post that on, a new community page we're starting this afternoon, so that people can access that song and hear it.
that's
And
great.
yeah, Lo says, true, I have heard 2 years ago, 12D. I'm still mind blown about it. Interesting. Multi dimensions, everybody's liking that idea. Ursula, many living channels have shared that an event, in quotes, will occur between now and November 3rd. Is the spirit of being prepared, not in fear? Can LARKMAA comment on this? For example, will there be a cosmic intervention? Ooh,
Well, Bartma says all the time that nobody's going to save us, that it's up to us to save ourselves.
we are
We
our own saviors.
we got ourselves in this soup and we have to get ourselves out, but they are all around to help us. So they're willing to assist. They're just not going to step in and intervene. You
They
want to say something?
well, they amongst many other star societies are all around the earth all the time, guiding us. I mean, part of our intuition, part of our psychic abilities are given to us by other wiser beings. And so they are indeed here helping and guiding. But as Pia said, they cannot take the responsibility to clean up our mess. We have to do that. However, the wisdom that all of these beautiful beings are giving us can help us make wiser decisions, wiser choices. So they are helping, but they're not controlling.
They're also, LARPA's very big on saying that time is an illusion. So they don't give a date that such and such is going to happen, like November 3rd. But they do say that with the conjunctions that are happening, although they didn't use that term, they said with the energies that are coming in December, that there's going to be portals of opportunity and waves of energy we've never experienced before coming in December. But that's November, not November 3rd. That's in December.
So
Yeah.
many worldwide astrologers have been talking about what may happen in December around the solstice. And apparently there are so many conjunctions, there are so many connections, there are so many occurrences that will be happening this December that there may be some evolutionary switch. There may be some evolutionary possibility of us gaining a much wider understanding of what's really going on.
Sort of like we made an energetic leap in December of 2012. Everybody thought the world was going to end and were disappointed when it didn't. You know, it's sort of like that. There's going to be some sort of portal or energetic consciousness raising something that's going to come in December or around December.
Yeah, there's like this convergence of things happening around
Yes.
December 14th, and then from really the 14th through the solstice and a little bit even beyond, where Jupiter and Saturn are coming together at 0 Aquarius, where we're shifting from what has been the element of earth for the last 200 and some years to the element of air, where those conjunctions will take place. The 14th is a very powerful solar eclipse. It will be Mars ending its, getting ready to move into its new sign. That won't really happen until January 2nd or 3rd. So there's like this convergence. You've heard that saying, the perfect storm, right?
Mhm.
It's like this perfect convergence of events occurring right around then. We don't really know what that will mean. We may wake up that morning and it'll be like, oh, well, nothing's changed, but fundamentally something will have shifted.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we won't know that. It's always 2020 hindsight, right? You look back and you go, that was the day, right?
Yeah.
That was the year when that happened.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
Yep. And that's a great pun. That's a great pun, Janet, saying 2020 hindsight. Because
yeah,
we're at the end of 2020.
I didn't even think of that, but yeah, I used to be in optics too. So to me, 2020 was be like, crystal vision, and looking backwards, 2020, that's pretty cool. So do you have anything else you would like to share with us this morning in closing, or are you complete? I'm looking to see right now if there's any other questions. Allison D. She says, "Oh my birthday is December 14th." J-Lo says, "Yes, for almost a year and a half, I've seen 1222 as the time. Dates, weird, not weird for her." Taylor Jenkins, "How can we make sure we don't miss this shift or portal of energy?" I'm going to let you guys take that one away.
By being awake and aware, by being more familiar with the Pleiadian-Earth energy system so you can feel the energies as they come in, fine-tuning your awareness to nature instead of artificial time and the Gregorian calendar and the Gregorian clock. Anything you can do away from the artificial system and move more towards nature is going to help you attune to the energies when they come in.
And I think one of the most important ideas about this is simply opening our hearts, just opening our hearts, listening to our intuition, and guiding our lives from a heart space rather than simply relying on the mind to make all the decisions as we have allowed it to do for so long. The heart has all the answers. The heart is the best vehicle to guide us. And all we have to do is spend more time in our heart, less time in our minds, and we will know what to do.
How amazing. It sounds so easy, doesn't it? and then the mind. It's funny because so many times I find myself, I'm a heart person. I love, right? That's the idea of my life, is about love. And it's so easy sometimes to get taken out by the mind. It's so funny.
Yes.
We're used to being trained by the mind, and it's high time to make a switch, make a
Right.
change. And when the mind tries to take control and be in the driver's seat, all we have to do is say, wait a minute. There's an alternative to what you're telling me. You're giving me old information. You're keeping me in the loop. And all I have to do is say, well, why don't I simply listen to my heart? And maybe that guidance will be more accurate and more fulfilling. And it's something we have to retrain ourselves to actually understand and to implement.
And maybe that's the biggest opening coming for us.
I think it
so.
is.
I
Right.
think you just said it, Janet.
I think that's a goosebump. I think that is
Absolutely.
a goosebump understanding.
Portal to your heart out of your mind. We still need our minds, right? Our minds are very useful, but we have to remember that it's our tool of life, not something that we have to hold on to as truth. And our heart is the real steering. In human design astrology, right, we have this thing called the identity center. It is the center core, so it's our home of our soul, and it acts like a compass. and it's only able to draw things to us that are appropriate for our experience in this path. And it's related to the heart. It's not related to the head. It's far away from the head. So there's nothing in the mind that's really anchoring us here except what we believe, as far as the mind's awareness. But the heart has more awareness than the mind does. It's more powerful.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the highest truth.
All right. Well, thank you both so much for everything today. Any new things that you want to share with everybody as far as events or classes, anything like that?
Well, we're doing mostly personal sessions right now. We do have all of LAARKMAA's books available on our website if anybody's interested in that. I do
And the
personal
calendar.
And the new calendar that has just been released, it's now available.
The 2021.
People are receiving it, actually.
Yes.
Yes.
Yay. I know other people around the world were getting theirs first, but suddenly, people are getting theirs. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much. In their website, www.piaorleane.com.
Yep.
Or
Or
LAARKMAA.
LAARKMAA or LAARKMAA, LAARKMAA.com. Either
We'll
one.
make sure everybody has those links. So I'm going to do a few minutes of new moon conversation. You two are welcome to hang with us if you'd like to, or if you disappear, we are not going to take offense. I know your day is ending. Ours is just revving up here. So thank you again from my heart. I love it. We'll see you again next month. I want to say that was what, November 15th? November 13th, it looks like, on a Friday. So
Friday 13th, excellent day. We'll have lots to talk about.
Friday the 13th, I didn't even think of that. How auspicious. And you know what? I would love to have you chat with us that day about. You did some very good work about the sacredness of the number 13 and how human beings sort of lost contact with the natural world when we got away from that idea of 13. Maybe that will be a great subject for us to take up on a Friday the 13th.
That would be perfect. That would be perfect.
Yay.
So thank you for continuing to invite us on your show. We love talking to you and answering questions from your callers. This is always a really highlight of our interview experiences. So thank you for who you are and how you do these interviews with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I just love you guys. So take care. Happy new moon. Happy one evolving day, or soon to be one evolving day. All right. So right now I want to switch real quickly. We're already getting close to 9 a.m., but I couldn't leave this morning without talking about the new moon. I just wanted to give you some quick information about that. Of course, right now the moon is in Libra, and that is the place where we're going to find the new moon, which occurs this afternoon. Let's see, my time. It'll be 3:32 p.m. for those of you on the East Coast. Universal time 1932. So that would be 7:32 this evening. For us on the West Coast, it'll be just after lunchtime, 12:32 p.m. or just at lunchtime. And of course, this is occurring at a degree in Libra, almost 24 degrees, which puts it in a very tense kind of configuration with the planets in Capricorn. So Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter, Pallas Athena, and it forms what we call a T-square in astrology, with the point, the most challenging part of it, pointed at Saturn and Pluto. So when we're thinking of the world and shaking up, right, with the one evolving coming, when we think about changes and we think about shocks or shocking energies, this is the opening salvo, if you will, for that kind of experience. As well, this moon and sun are in an opposition to Mars in retrograde, to the goddess Eris, and also somewhat to the black moon Lilith as well. So there are aspects of change and transformation sort of out of our hands that are kind of pulling us in a new direction. So the new moon technically in Libra is about our relationships. How do we love one another? How do we show up in relationships? Are we a team, or are we undermining each other? So we get to work with that dynamic during this period of time. It's a great time to make peace. If there's anybody out there that you have some kind of adversarial relationship with. Maybe it's time to bring it to peace, applying love from the heart, right? The mind will keep telling you, no, I don't like that person. But the heart saying, I would love to have peace, right? There's another great saying, would you rather be right or be at peace? Which one, right? And if it's peace, then it doesn't matter who was right or wrong, go that way. The way to peace and harmony could be challenging because we have these other things that are kind of bringing up to the surface as the places where we're out of alignment with peace, where we're out of alignment with love. And we kind of get triggered or provoked a bit during this period of time to really come back to our hearts and to come back to what's really most important during in our lifetime. There may be, I certainly noticed this, a reemergence in your life of some challenges from the past. Things where maybe they're just, there's something still there. Maybe it's a fear. Well, of course, if it isn't of love, it is a fear and needs to be looked at, needs to be brought to peace, needs to be sealed, let's say, off into the heart so that it's all formed with love and not with that upset any longer. I used a word from you guys for the day 6, the flow. Use flow energy. So as you're being challenged by anything in your life, use flow energy, right? We don't need to have a challenge cause us to stop, to give up, right? We just use flow. What is opening up in the universe for me to follow? And not, be constantly pushing up against a barrier because that's psychosis and we need to stop doing that. We want to be able to move through that. And literally, this new moon is a life-changing and transforming moon. Interesting because today is 13 intuiting, putting the spotlight on our intuition. The new moon will actually be in that particular day energy. Because it's a day new moon. And Dane Rudhyar in the book, The Astrological Mandala, calls this degree the degree of clairaudience or clair seeing, clair knowing, all of the clairs. So that is intuition, right? The ways that we know, but we don't know exactly how it is we know what we know. But that's what this new moon is bringing to us. So moving more and more into our intuitive space. Forgetting that the mind might be telling you one thing or your eyes are telling you something else, but your intuition is your true guide here. So that was a quick rundown on the new moon. And let's see, was there anything else I wanted to share about that? Yesterday, I think I meant to tell you the areas in which intention setting, which is what the new moon brings, a powerful opportunity to set new intentions around partnerships and relationships, to creating a pathway to harmony in your life, teamwork's spotlighted, sociability. So how can we be more diplomatic, more tactful, more refined in our connections to one another? Healing codependency, right? A lot of energy with planets in Aries right now reminding us that we are all interdependent, that we are not independent or dependent, we are interdependent. So we all need to count upon each other. And that's it. I did that quick. And it's just now 9:03. Let me take a look real quickly, see if there are any final questions about any of that. Running this down, is there a membership? Yes, there is a membership forum this afternoon at 12 noon. If you are in the membership, you can come in and bring your astrological questions to the group, and I will look at charts. Don't forget, on October 20th, all of you, even if you're not a part of the membership, can gather with me at 12 noon Pacific time to have me take a look at your astrology chart, your human design chart, whatever you want to take a look at. And those links are on the Facebook page, Living Astrology. Last reminder here this afternoon, after the new moon occurs, so after 12:32 p.m. my time, you will probably receive invitations from me to join the Living Astrology community. The page, unfortunately, as soon as I wrote the name of it, it was already up and there. It is there, but I'm going to wait to send out the invitations until after 12:20 or 12:32 this afternoon. So please join there. That is going to be our community page where we can share Tom's songs, Mimi's art, Amy's tarot readings, and whatever else that we want to share that is of an uplifting, positive nature. It's not a place for you to shamelessly promote yourself, but certainly if you're doing something interesting, we want to know. If you think people can benefit from it, then we want to know. And that's what that page will be all about. And I don't see any other questions here. Asa, did I miss something at all? Let me know, because I can also answer that at Forum this afternoon or at Forum on Tuesday. All right, guys. Thank you again, Pia and Cullen. Lovely to see you. I can't wait till next month. And for everyone, have a stellar week and a stellar weekend. The weekend's a smooth one. No need to worry about it. Just be in your hearts. You'll get through it. All right. Mwah. Much love to everybody, and bye for now. I think if I end